All right, everybody, welcome back to the Conserving Freedom Network. We are happy to have you tuned in today. This is going to be an exciting episode. We are out at the shooting range. I think the whole episode today is going to be at the shooting range because it is such a glorious day in Wisconsin. Sun is out, no wind, about 25 degrees out. So what a day to talk about the truth about Palmetto State Armory. This is my Palmetto State Armory AR-15. It's got some Magpul furniture. I have done some upgrades to it. It's got pretty decent bells and whistles. You can find that in my latest Tuesday night talks. That was about my AR-15, my plans for upgrades, and what's next. So big news in regards to that. I'm about to upgrade this to some BCM stuff. So very excited, upgrading the weapons light, upgrading the trigger to a Timney trigger. So all of that is coming. So before I upgraded my my setup here, definitely wanted to shoot my current setup, which is all Palmetto State Armory trigger and everything, the guts here, the upper, the barrel, the gas tube, everything, the lower, it's all Palmetto State Armory. So we are going to break down the truth behind Palmetto State Armory, simply enough. This is not a clickbait title. Is it good enough? Is it good enough for what I'm trying to do, or was it good enough for what I'm trying to do? We'll talk a little bit about why in the end I'm upgrading. But I have had this gun for just about a year now, and it's been awesome. It's been everything I've ever wanted out of my first AR-15. So we're going to run some drills here as we always do. We'll talk it out as we move through our drills here, and then as I said, I'll get back to kind of my final thoughts on it are going to be why I'm deciding to upgrade, you know, what is the value behind it. But this will be a little bit different as we go through, so I don't want to do a full kind of tip to butt thing here because we all know what Palmetto State's all about, and I've got a bunch of extra furniture on it that isn't Palmetto State. So let's get into it. We're going to dive right into our first drill. We're going to break down what's happening as I go through each drill and the truth about Palmetto State Armory. So sit back and enjoy this one. This is going to be a really fun one. Thank you. All right, so our very first drill is going to be 3 shots from a low ready at about 25 yards, about 25 yards here. 3 shots, low ready, just a cold start drill to see how we're going to get us going here. Basic Vortex red dot on here, nothing fancy. Shooting 5.56 Winchester M855, I think. So let's see what we got. 3 shots from the low ready. Take a look. All right, so that was 3 shots in a 2.1. First shot was in 0.97. Not bad, not amazing. But as we slide over to our target here, what you'll notice is, as I pull out my trusty pen, what you'll notice is first shot, right smack in the middle A zone. And then one thing with just this A2 bird cage, just the standard muzzle device on it, it does kind of, the recoil is kind of up and to the right. So when I'm trying to shoot fast, I really have to focus on driving it back down, or else you get something like this, where I run high a little bit on my next 2 because I never quite drove it down enough. Now, for something to keep in mind here, in a drill when you're going for speed is acceptable hits on your target, right? So if I was going for, I needed 3 A-zone hits and that was my goal, I'm probably going to slow it down. If I'm just going for speed and basically anything on target, yeah, as soon as I knew that my red dot was back in, on paper here, as soon as I knew my red dot was back, I took the shot, right? And then I got it and I drove it down, and as soon as it was back, I took the shot. So it'll take a little bit more time if I really want to drive it back down to get all A hits. We're going to do that on our next drill. I'm going to do 3 shots again, and I'm going to really try to get them all in my A zone. So I'm going to give us an acceptable box here to try to stare at. We're going to try to get all 3 in there. So we're going to slow it down probably just a touch, let that gun drive back down. All right, so I lied. I have 2 shots left here in the mag. I got 1 in the pipe, 1 in the magazine. So we'll go 2 shots. Again, we're gonna now try to slow it down so that I can definitely drive that red dot back into that silver box that I had outlined, which is my A zone. So it's a tiny target. It's gonna take half a second longer to make sure I drive that red dot back down. But let's see, if we're going for accuracy, can the Palmetto State achieve that? Might have pulled my first shot. Let's take a look though, but I took that extra half second to drive it back down. Let's see. All right, so from 25 yards, it took me 2.4 seconds to take both of those shots. My first shot was in a 1.5 because I was really waiting until I was pretty centered. I ended up throwing it anyway. But then that next shot took almost another second, and that one did just barely miss the A, but I did drive it back down. So I am not the most amazing at shooting today. I guess it's one of those days. That's okay. But we are definitely, I hope you could see that it takes that extra half second to drive it back down. And that's just maybe with just a cheap muzzle device. I've got a 3x magnifier on here. So I want to push this back to 50 yards. And we'll take some shots at 50 yards. I'm going to aim low here. I'm 0 to 25. So if we know bullet ballistics on a 5.56, it is going to climb on its first 50 yards. So I'm going to aim bottom of the target. We're going to see where we get using the 3x magnifier here. Let's see how we do from a little bit of distance here. All right, so I've got three rounds here loaded up in the magazine. We're not going to go with any timer. I just want to see how accurate we can get from 50 yards with a 3x magnifier, Palmetto State Armory AR-15. 50 yards, as I said, I'm going to aim just a little low. We'll see if they can rise up here. All right, some pretty nice results from 50 yards. So my first shot was smack in the middle, and I was holding right about here on the target. Just out of thinking that I wasn't holding low enough, I moved it down a little, and then I was aimed, just at pretty much this piece of the board here. So as you can see, the groupings were good for where I was aiming. So first one I aimed right here, got it there. The next two I aimed right there and hit there and hit, back on paper. So everything was on paper again, which is good. The gun is really good. I want to shoot pretty fast here. We're going to try to push. We're going to see if basically I can outrace the gun or outrace the trigger, which is something that I think is a concern with Palmetto State, is that you can kind of, there is such a thing as moving too fast, for the gun that you have. You can kind of outrace your tools. So I'm excited when I get the Timney trigger to see what that's going to do for me. But let's see if I can move pretty quick, keep that recoil, decent, manageable. And let's see if it's possible, if I feel like I'm going to outrace the gun. And then when we're done with that drill, I do want to bring up something specific about, outracing the gun and the tool that you have for, your objective, I guess, and specifically how that relates to a training course. So let's try a drill. I'm going to load up. We'll do 6 shots, trying to move pretty quick. We're going to not worry about the A zone. I just want to get stuff on paper. Okay, let's see what we got. All right, so we're doing the speed test here. Can I outrace the gun? I've moved up just a little. I'm probably more at like 20 yards. So we're going to see, can I, as soon as I get an acceptable picture, with my red dot looking at paper, I'm gonna pull the shot. So we're gonna see, like, can I really outrace the gun? I don't think I can. I don't think my skill is there, but it's certainly something that is a consideration as you go. But if you're buying a Palmetto State, and here's the thing, I think this is great dialogue right now. If you're buying a Palmetto State, are you really outracing your gun? Like, are you at that skill level yet? I think that's an excellent question. So let's see what we got here. All right, so that was 6 shots in 3.28. Splits were right around that 0.3-ish range. First shot was in a 1.11. Again, not fast. I don't know if I'm really outracing the gun. Let's take a look at some hits here, because it is pretty interesting. And this is just where training matters, and just getting good reps with your equipment. So I had 5 out of 6 hit paper. We'll go over them here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this up here, just barely nicking, but really not. It might have taken the littlest sliver. I did hit just higher on the target. So what my kind of theory was on doing this is, I kind of wanted to start low, because I figured I would just kind of naturally, let myself just kind of, what do they call it? Stitch the target, right? Stitch it upwards. And just like each time, I could pull the recoil back less and less, and hopefully move through it quicker and quicker, because again, acceptable target for me was anything on paper. So as I kind of started low, tried to grab it back, kept moving up, and then eventually missed. But I think that's an interesting concept. To try to move fast and stitch the target, I got to drive it down more early, but really each time I get more and more, I'm back on paper quicker and quicker if I start low and just kind of let that gun, settle. Basically, if my first shot's here, it basically settled, right? The red dot basically settled there at its maximum, recoil. The red dot never really left the paper. Then I shot there and I dragged it back. And then I got kind of closer to center, because I knew if I let it go there, if I let it keep drifting, I was going to miss the paper. So interesting there. But again, the gun is running fine. I mean, no malfunctions. The trigger was fine. It's a really good first gun. You're getting a lot of value at it. So let's go back to the table, and I want to talk a little bit about the value you get from the gun, the rail that comes on it, and maybe a little bit about, if you were to take this gun to a training class. So let's have a little discussion here before our next drill. All right, so I'm just going to crouch down a little bit here. I'll take a knee here for us. So one of the important things when you talk about kind of price point of a PSA, the value that you're getting out of it, one of the things that I really liked about this is, for the complete upper, at the time I bought it, was, I believe, $469, and I got the $100 basically M-Bus Magpul flip-up sights with it. So take those out of the equation. $369 was the price of the upper, basically, without those M-Buses, and then the lower, and that lower parts kit was like another $200. So all in, I was like $650 on my first AR, which was great. So one of the things that I really liked is obviously the M-Lock floating handrail. So you get some of those, cheaper ones that are in like the $400, like completely done, and you don't get the floating handguard. You get like those, basically like those M16A1 style handguards, where you're showing a bunch of the barrel, and you don't have the chance to put like your accessories on it. So one of the things that was great about this is, with the floating handguard and the pick rail that comes on it, I wish it continued. So again, more stuff to talk about here. One of the things I liked about it is it let me experiment, having not known much, like how to put stuff on and where to put stuff and how I, spread out all the accessories. And it allowed me the chance to buy accessories and, be able to upgrade this pretty easily. One of the things that I'm starting to realize that I want, and I got with my BCM upper that's coming, is pick rail all the way across, because that'll allow me to utilize a pressure pad for a new light that I've got coming. So, with no pick rail up here, it's M-lock up top, so it's M-lock up on the top, but I'd have to buy a pick rail. That adds height, and it's just, why wouldn't you just extend pick all the way across? I don't know. So I think that's a drawback to it. The bolt carrier and all the furniture, I mean, we can flip it around here. I mean, the bolt is good, like the bolt carrier group, the BCG is good. The mag release is good. What you would throw the bolt home with, I'm forgetting the term, I guess the bolt button, I'm forgetting the term here. It works nicely. It's a good gun. It really has never malfunctioned on me. I've really learned, how to shoot with this thing. I'm really happy with it. There's been like torture tests or failure tests on these. I think some of the things that, could get upgraded, the buffer tube probably could get upgraded, but for how I shoot, I don't think a new gun is going to make me better. I think training is going to make me better, and this is the perfect gun to train with. So, getting into maybe then, why did I want to upgrade? First of all, I mean, I just like nice stuff. I mean, if you want to get nice stuff and you have the budget for nice stuff, do it. That's fine. I want to start taking like really good classes, like multi-day, like carbine classes. And I don't know if the amount of rounds that I'm going to be putting through it and hopefully how good I'll get in a couple days and the stress that this would be under, I don't know if it would hold up under those training classes. I've heard guys talk about like, yeah, my students who come, with budget builds, we've got some gun malfunctions as we start to put several hundred rounds through it in a day. So I didn't love that. I didn't really think that was a very confident statement in the PSA. For when I come out and I shoot 100 rounds, in the course of an hour, and I'm marking my times and taking my time and the barrel never gets too hot, yeah, it's fine. It's never going to malfunction on me. The other thing is it's a self-preservation tool. And I had an honest conversation with myself, is how much is my life worth? Why? I heard a great quote from DJ Shipley. I'm sure a lot of you guys know DJ Shipley. He said, I don't want it to be a fair fight between me and the other guy. I want every advantage. I want every trick and tip and tool to make it as unfair and tilted in my favor as possible. Am I cheating the fight with a Palmetto State Armory? Probably not. I'm probably at a disadvantage with this gun. So that was a big piece of it for me. That's a big reason of why I wanted to upgrade, just the training and, putting the price tag on, what is my self-preservation worth? That was important for me. But in terms of how it shoots, it's great. We'll run a couple more drills here. We're going to do some multiple targets and target acquisition, kind of switching from one target to the other here, probably to wrap up our review of the Palmetto State Armory. I'll maybe give some final thoughts, but that was basically my final thoughts. I just want to end with one fun drill here. All right, so I've got two targets now out here. I'm still going to shoot at my miniature US PCA target, and then I have just a cheap just circle target about 3 to 4 yards to the right of it, so enough for me to not have to change my stance and get on the move, but far enough where I do have to swing that barrel a decent amount. So we're going to do a couple target transition drills. I'm going to do 2 on the left, 2 on the right, and then come back to the one on the left for 1 shot. So it'll be a 5-shot burst here, and we'll test out target transition, how this thing swings, you know, as you're transitioning through targets. Take a look. Oh. All right, so that drill was ran 5 shots in a 3.87. My first shot was in a 1.17, and then that final move back to the left on that 5th shot took me 0.72 seconds to reacquire that target. Hits were awesome. Let's take a look here because I think I'm starting to get warmed up here finally. All right, so I'm gonna straddle these right in the middle. 2 shots on the target on the left were spot on right next to each other. 1 and 2 right on. As we get over here were my first 2. And then that last one, I think it went through, there's a little bit of a secondary hole right there. So got back on target well. That was awesome. That was a fun drill. Maybe the gun's starting to warm up. Maybe I'm warming up. That was awesome. Those 2 shots were fantastic on the left there. So yeah, let's run another drill here. I'll set us up here for our next drill. All right, so I'm gonna shoot to the target on the right since I feel like I'm just seeing it better. It's nice and bright. It's got less holes in it. So we're gonna shoot to that target on the right that I've got set up. We are going to do the infamous 1 reload 1. It's not a drill I practice a ton. I really should. I wanna get into practicing 1R1s more, especially on my plate carrier, which is something I don't practice a ton. So just full transparency, I don't train enough. I want to train more. I'm working on it. So we're going to try a 1 reload 1. Who knows? Let's see. Couldn't get that mag back up in there, man. So a couple things for speed. That was terrible. That was like 7 seconds. 2 things went wrong. I don't train with gloves. Here's dead honest reality. Palmetto State versus training. I don't train with gloves on, and I don't train enough with my plate carrier. So what were the 2 mistakes I made? I went to grab this thing with my gloves on, and I slipped right off the magazine. And then I got it, went to shove it in the mag well, and I was like riding the rail of the mag well. So that's training. The shots were good. 1 and 2, tight. I'm seeing this target better. I don't know what it is. I'm just seeing it better. Better contrast off the snow, off all the other browns and whatever around me. Just seeing this one better. That was fun. I like 1 reload 1s. Really trained some good motor skills. This is not a one reload 1 review. This is a Palmetto State Armory review. But it goes back to train. You need to train, because if I gave this gun to my U.S. Marshal friend, retired U.S. Marshal, he would dominate any drill I gave him because he's just trained a ton. Yes, he's got a $3,000 Daniel Defense. It's smooth as butter. It's amazing, all that stuff. I think I still botched the 1 reload 1 with a Daniel Defense. So yeah, I mean, that's the God's honest truth. So yeah, again, training versus Palmetto State. What is the truth about Palmetto State? I guess we'll end it here. The truth about Palmetto State Armory: they're great. If you want a budget build, they're awesome. They're going to be everything you need. Building them is fun. You learn a lot about all the different parts. You learn a lot about, how it works, the action, how a bullet feeds. There was just a lot of fun stuff that you learn when you build your Palmetto State Armory gun. So, I guess if it's like, okay, it's between this, an Anderson, maybe one of the Rugers that are like pre-built off the shelf, or like the M&P Sport. This is a fine option. I like this one. Again, I like it because you get the floating handguard. That's super important to start messing around and learning how to put different accessories on it. Barrel's good. All the internals are good. It's never had a double feed on me. That obviously the whatever drills that we just ran had no malfunctions there. It's a great gun. The truth about Palmetto State Armory. If this is in your price point, get it. It's good. You're going to have a lot of fun with it. I'm ready for an upgrade. I'm excited to take y'all on that journey as I build my next AR. And you better believe we're going to be doing some reviews on if that BCM, is holding up to the test of time. And as I start putting several thousand rounds through it, it's going to be fun to take a look. I'll certainly be getting better, and hopefully I can notice a difference and be happy with my purchase. And yeah, everything's awesome. Have a lot of fun shooting. Get better, train, practice, buy ammo, shoot it, do dry fire, do live fire, come out, run your drills. My final sentence, the truth about Palmetto State Armory. They're as good as your training. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time on the Conserving Freedom Network.